traditional area. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the media and press, on behalf of the chiefs and citizens of the Akposo traditional area in the Oti region of Ghana, and on my own behalf, I welcome you all to the Accra International Press Center. My name is Nana Kwesi Asiedu Kuram II. I am the Apesokubi and also the Paramount Chief of Apesokubi Traditional Area, located in the Oti region of Ghana. Seated with me here on the dais are some of the chiefs and queen mothers of Apesokubi Traditional Area, namely, as has been introduced earlier, so I'll proceed. I'm deeply grateful to you, distinguished members of the media and press, who have kindly honored my invitation to attend this morning's press conference. I also acknowledge the presence of many citizens of Apesokubi Traditional Area who have managed to attend this press conference despite the rather short notice of invitation sent to them. The purpose of the conference. Today's press conference is intended to address certain claims made at an earlier press conference recently held by the descendants of some Akposo immigrant settlers living in Apesokubi Traditional Area. The said press conference was organized and addressed by identifiable persons who are demonstrably and direct biological lineal descendants of individual persons hailing from Akposo Traditional Political Division located wholly and entirely in French Togoland, that is, the Republic of Togo, and who migrated individually and in tiny groups from several different villages and settlements in their said place of origin to settle with indigenous Akan inhabitants in Apesokubi Traditional Area from the beginning of the 20th century. The so-called historical narratives presented at the said press conference are simply oral fabrications, but more importantly, the claims made at the said press conference are completely false in that they are based on plain lies. The said press conference was widely circulated on social media under the screaming banner, "We are being wiped off the map of Ghana." Before I proceed to specifically address the several false claims made at the said press conference, I hereby challenge the organizers of the press conference and their spokespersons to produce just one single map of Ghana, including colonial maps of the area currently falling within and constituting the territory of the Republic of Ghana, that depicts or bears the name Akposo or Apesokubi as a town in Ghana or Oti region. There is absolutely no such map of Ghana in existence, and the claim is completely false. I shall shortly return to the subject of the false claim by presenting details of several authoritative official state public records that individually and collectively expose the said claim as being merely dishonest fabrications. False claims at the said press conference are as follows. The false claims made at the press conference include the following: that the Akposo immigrant settlers living in Apesokubi Traditional Area are the indigenous inhabitants of the area, and that it was their forebears who originally acquired the area by conquest and settlement. It is a claim really false. That the Akposo immigrant settlers are the original rightful landowners in the area. False. That the area is called Akposokubi or Akposo and not Apesokubi. False. That they are the rightful chiefs and traditional authorities in the area. Not true. The following: that following the defeat of Germany in the First World War, the Akposo Traditional Area or the state, which is a political district in German Togoland, was partitioned into two between France and Britain. thereby placing one half portion in French Togoland and the other half portion in British Republic of Ghana. Absolutely not true. We now present a chronological outline of relevant historical facts, both variable and proven, which render the foregoing claims not only completely baseless, but utterly false. The indigenous inhabitants and geographical location of Apesokubi, therefore Apesokubi traditional area. Indigenous inhabitants of Apesokubi traditional area. All available historical evidence established clearly, conclusively that the indigenous inhabitants of Apesokubi, and for that matter Apesokubi traditional area, are Akans who forebears acquired the area by conquest and settlement, and who have since remained in uninterrupted and effective possession and occupation of the lands in the area for the past 300 and over years, as far back as 1665. Years through court litigations, official state and institutional departmental inquiry proceedings, and officially record peaceful negotiated settlements with adjoining neighboring traditional states and traditional areas. Geographical location of Apesokubi traditional area. Apesokubi traditional area lies between the parallels of longitudes 23 degrees and 27 degrees, approximately 20 to 30 degrees, east of the Greenwich meridian, and between parallels of latitudes 33 degrees and 38 degrees, approximately 30 degrees and 40 degrees, north of the equator, all falling wholly and entirely within the Republic of Ghana. On the contrary, the Akposo traditional states or districts lie between the parallels of longitude 35 degrees and 45 degrees, east of the Greenwich meridian, and is thus entirely and wholly located in the French Togoland, that is Republic of Togo. As a permanent fact of physical geography, the original common boundary owners of adjoining lands with Apesokubi traditional area as follows. On the south, Apesokubi shares boundary with Rawa, which is an Akan-speaking community. On the southeast, Apesokubi shares boundary with Goma and Kuje, and Goma and Kuje are within the Bui constituency. They are Guans. On the east is Asatu traditional area. They are Akans. On the northeast, we have Dodipapasi who share boundary with Apesokubi. Dodipapasi traditional area. They are Akans. On the north is Adumadum community and settlement. They are Akans. On the northwest, we have Domabi people are Akans. And on the southwest is the Rara traditional area. As mentioned earlier, they are also Akans. So Apesokubi is encompassed by virtually Akan-speaking traditional areas and communities. The people of the above mentioned neighboring states and settlements would readily confirm that Apesokubi traditional area has been their immediate common boundary owners for over 350 years or more, and that the indigenous inhabitants of Apesokubi and Apesokubi traditional area are Akans with whom they have had contact and dealings, both private and official, as their neighbors and traditional allies for all these past years. Moreover, the principal towns of Gwem traditional state, which is conterminous with Jasikan municipality, as currently constituted, such as Burada, Tetema, Jasikan, Kajakrum, Guama, Usuta, Atonko, and Aka, whose people are indigenous in their respective areas, are all much closer to Ghana's international eastern border with French Togoland than Apesokubi or Apesokubi traditional area. And these people are available to attest and confirm that Akposos living in the whole of Gwem traditional area, that's the Jessica municipality and all its neighboring districts in Ghana, are immigrants or direct descendants of immigrants from Fred Togoland or Republic of Togo, and also that Apesokubi traditional area is the true and proper name of the town and area now sought to be called Apesokubi or Akposo by the current generation of the said Akposo immigrants. It is pertinent to add that towns such as Kejebi, Ahamansu, Akan community, Godipapasi, Akan community, Asato, Akan, Dapa, Akan, Ampeyo, Akan, Pamparia, Jinjisu, Dodofie, Akan, are all located in the Kejebi district of the Uti region of Ghana, who are all Akans, as I have said, are also much closer to the above-mentioned international boundary between Ghana and the Republic of Togo than Apesokubi traditional area, and that it is beyond the said international boundary and the said Republic of Togo that the Akposo people are known and reputed to have inhabited as indigenous. Claimed by the Akposo immigrants that they are the original rightful landowners in the Apesokubi traditional area. We are going to prove it as being false. This claim is also falsified by several authoritative official state public records and authenticated private transactions, including the following: boundary disputes between Apesokubi Thre and Asatu Thre. The Apesokubi Thre and Asatu Thre were engaged in protracted court litigations regarding their common boundary east of Apesokubi traditional area from 1912 to the year 1982. The said court litigation came before several courts and tribunals of law in hierarchical order of judicial authority, including the Gwem Native Tradition Tribunal in 1931 in Burada, Gwem State Council. This matter went to Gwem State Council in 1939. Then it went to the District Commissioner Court in Pandu, Court of Commissioner of Eastern Province in Koforidua, Land Court in Accra, West African Court of Appeal in Accra, and the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council of England, whose judgment, given in 1966, is as reported in pages 481 to 487 of the 1961 Ghana Law Reports under the title Nana Katabua II versus Nana Osebusu and British Togoland as the boundary between them. So when we were fighting and disputing our boundary, in 1976, the Apesokubi Thre presented a formal petition to the SY Two Lands Boundary Settlement Commission, SLBSC, maybe in future that's what I'm using, seeking a redetermination of the said boundary with Asatu Thre as declared by previous courts and tribunals of law. The said petition, which was officially designated as Enquiry Number 6/76 under the title description in the matter of the boundary dispute between Asatu and Apesokubi, was heard and same dismissed by the SLBSC in 1982 in a ruling that was published in the Land and Concession Bulletin, Ghana, number 11, Friday, 1st October 1982. Undeniable. By whole High Court suit number WS 49/78, Omayini Nana President Katabua, my immediate predecessor, sued the Asatu Hini and Akwachi II in their respective representative capacities for an order to set aside a previous judgment and order of possession obtained by the Asatu Thre in the said protracted boundary litigation. On the 18th day of May 1979, the whole High Court, presided over by Justice C.E.H. Kese, set aside the judgment and order of possession for the stated reasons that they were procured under fraud. Evidence abounds in the relevant court records of judicial proceedings that only the indigenous Akan inhabitants of Apesokubi, and for that matter, Apesokubi traditional area, were involved in the said confiscations of land owners to the absolute exclusion of the forebearers of the current generation of the Akposos, immigrant settlers, who are today making historical, unsubstantiated claims to land ownership in Apesokubi traditional area. Now let's look at former land acquisition by the Bremen Mission. This is also going to prove that we are the indigenous and the land belongs to us. By the Bremen Mission from Germany in certain parts of German Togoland, including Apesokubi, between 1910 and 1914. The said land acquisition were made by formal deeds of conveyance. The said land acquisition were made by formal deeds of conveyance in areas whose location include Jasika, Ho, Kedebi, Asato, Hohwe, and Apesokubi, among many others. The site of the said land in Apesokubi has since its acquisition in 1913 been known as Bremen Mission area or Bremen Mission land in Apesokubi, and it is situated, and on it is situated the Apesokubi Evangelical Presbyterian Church Chapel, currently called Asubie Congregation of the EP Church, the EP Church Primary School building, and the church manse, and several private dwellings belonging to the early converts to the said church, who were allocated plots of land either gratuitously or for a token fee. As evidenced by the relevant title deeds in the possession and custody of the EP Church at its national headquarters in Kenya, the Bremen Mission land in Apesokubi consisted of two contiguous parcels of lands measuring 5.6 acres and 7.6 acres respectively, which were acquired in 1913, given by the chiefs and elders of Apesokubi. Bremen Mission from the chief. Now, the chief who gave out the land is Chief Ankra of Apesokubi, Nana Kweku Ankra, Apesokubi, my great-grandfather. And Opani Kweku Mensa, who is the direct patrilineal grandfather of the current bishop of Apesokubi, also my great-grandfather by my maternal side. Nana Kweku Ankra, above mentioned, was the immediate predecessor of Nana Kwesi Edu, of Apesokubi, who in turn was succeeded by the late Nana Kwesi Dente Katabwa as Apesokubi from 1950 to 2009. I seated here, Okuji Amai Kwesi Asiedu Kram II, have succeeded Nana Dente Katabwa II as Apesokubi. Where is their lineage? Can they trace it? Can they trace their ancestry to the studio? Let's go. The significance of the said title deeds covering the Bremen Mission land in Apesokubi is twofold. Firstly, at the time of the land acquisition in 1913, the town or area was already known and called Apesokubi. That is why it is on the deed. And secondly, the said land, which is currently located in one of the core prime residential areas in Apesokubi, was granted by Chief Ankra and Ochiame Opani Kweku Mensa, who are demonstrably indigenous Akan inhabitants, residents, and community leaders of Apesokubi town and traditional area. So if the core was given by people who are from Apesokubi They are, if I may quote, Apesokubians. Now, Akposos come and we say the land. Where were you when my great-grandfathers were giving out the land to Germans in those days? It is absolutely necessary and imperative to state for emphasis that the core prime area or location of the Bremer Mission land in Akposo, granted by the above-named Indigenous account community leaders, clearly establish and reinforce the obvious significance of the relative residential location of the Indigenous account inhabitants and the Akposo immigrant settlers in Apesokubi. Even the most casual observer on a visit to Apesokubi cannot fail to notice, regardless of evidently recent attempts at rehabilitation, remodeling, and renovation, the obvious predominance of old residential structures in the core and prime areas of Apesokubi town, owned and occupied by the Indigenous, as composed of residents. If you own the town, I think you should be in the core area. But you are the periphery. Now you say the town belongs to you. Okay. Cabo and Askoko Forest Reserve. In 1929, the governor of the Gold Coast caused a statutory legal notice to be published, thereby declaring the intention of the colonial government to establish the Cabo River Forest Reserve and the Askoko River Forest Reserve in the British Togoland under British mandate as a trust territory. The said legal notice further invited all persons, including schools, families, and companies claiming to hold possession or own any interest or estate of whatsoever nature in the forest areas proposed to be constituted as Cabo River Forest Reserve or Askoko River Forest Reserve, to present and prove their claims before the Forest Reserve Settlement Commission, RSC, mandated to undertake formal inquiry proceedings to determine the said claims of ownership, possession, or tenure as part of the required process and procedures for formally commissioning the Forest Reserve. For the purpose of the required inquiry proceedings, the proposed Cabo River Forest Reserve were divided into two sections, namely the Oprana section and the Temple section. Certified, authenticated records of the said formal inquiry proceedings containing sworn testimonies of claimants, witnesses, appearing before the RSC, together with all relevant rulings and judgments, may be obtained from either the Forestry Commission or the PRAB, and having been designated as Volume 1, pages 1 to 57, covering the temporary section, and Volume 2, pages 70 to 107, covering the upper land section. What I mean here is, the Cabo River Forest has two compartments or two areas. It has been cut into two, though wholly called Cabo River Forest Reserve. We have the western side being the temporary section, and then the eastern side being the Oprana section. All available records of the said Forest Reserve inquiry proceedings show and establish clearly and conclusively that the Indigenous account inhabitants of Apesokubi and Apesokubi traditional area, led by their chief and elders, appeared and testified in their capacities as legal and beneficial owners before the ICRC. As a clear illustration of the said exclusive appearance and unchallenged claim before the RSC by the Indigenous account inhabitants of Apesokubi traditional area, led by their chief and elders as the sole legal and beneficial owners in possession of the Apesokubi portion of the proposed forest reserve, the following certified authenticated records of the inquiry proceedings before the RSC dated 10th February 1954, which is contained in page 70 of Volume 2, aforementioned, relative to the Oprana section, is produced below. in the court of the Reserve Settlement Commission of the Gold Coast held as Jessica in the Kitikrachi district of the Transvolta Togoland on the 10th day of February 1954 before his worship at a Philip Polen ESQ OBE Reserve Settlement Commission, that is the heading, in the matter of the proposed Cabo Forest Reserve. Opera session, parties present, D.A. Lane, Esquire, SACFO, John Amani, representing Omahini of Gwim State. That is parties that went there, those who own portions within the Cabo River Forest Reserve, that went. Nana Katabua, the second, Omahini of Apesokubi, and for that matter, Apesokubi traditional area. Nana Apel, the fourth, Bekuhine of Guama. S.O. Ankoma Safuhine of Apesokubi. L.K. Usu, elder of Apesokubi. Kojobavi Sanawaha, elder of Apesokubi. F.K. Safu, elder of Apesokubi. Kamna Safu, representing Ohine of Kuji. Kwame Apia Ija, Jasihine of Asato. Kwamina Usu, Ohine of Asato. Mr. A.G. Howard Mills appeared for the Apeso Youth Association. Yao Auntie, farm claimant, also of Apesokubi. So if at the commission to determine the ownership of interested parties, and all those who went there are people from Apesokubi, how then do you say Apesokubi belongs to you? Only a few Akposo immigrants settlers living in Apesokubi and Apesokubi traditional area at the time appeared before the RSC to make claims in connection with what the RSC found to be either non-existent or illegal farms in certain parts of the forest areas proposed to be constituted as forest reserve. It was established before the RSC that all the said farm claims, either claims for crop compensation from among the Akposo immigrant settlers, were persons who, upon hearing of the said land legal notice of 1929 by the governor, which had the legal effect of freezing any new development such as farm making, had rushed. So when they heard of it, they rushed to the said forest areas to make farms as a pretext for mounting fraudulent claims for the compensation payments. From their own sworn testimonies before the RSC, as contained in certified authenticated records of the said inquiry proceedings, these Akposo immigrants have individually incurred and paid a series of criminal fines for persistently violating the said legal notice, which prospectively prohibited the making of new farms in the proposed forest areas. So they paid compensation and they paid fines. So how do you claim ownership? When you entered, you were made to pay fines. These recalcitrant Akposo immigrant claimants include Michael Amento, Peter Legba, Fabinus Kojo, who was claiming a farm allegedly made by his father Sawyer Kwesi, Albert Akomine, and of Kabusu, and S.K. Obe, represented by Kuma M. Kwaju there. Page 79 of volume 2 of the certified records of the RSC mentioned above contained the following piece of sworn testimony by S.K. Ankoma, representing Apesokubi's 2. Nana Katabua Ohene of Apesokubi, dated 21st March 1954 by the court. I have no knowledge of a farm in the name of Afosa Kare, alleged to be a farmer of Kwamina Kab, the father of Kwamina Kab, and the farm now claimed by him. Nana Kakabua, who appeared as witness 57 before the RSC, is recorded on page 77 of volume 2 of the certified inquiry proceedings as having stated under oath as follows, that SK Obey, witness number 44, came from French side of the boundary. I know nothing about him, and I know nothing about the existence of a farm he claims. Now let's look at 1939 settlement agreement between Apesokubi and Rara in respect of their disputed common boundary in the temporary section of the Cabo Forest Reserve. Now, our immediate neighbors, we had various boundary disputes with them. So, as I said earlier, some of them were settled by mutual settlement and agreement. Initially, Apesokubi and Rara, as adjoining boundary owners, were disputing their common boundary within the temporary section, just as we were disputing with Asatu. We were disputing with Rara in the temporary section, that is the western side of the Cabo River Forest Reserve. However, in the course of the said inquiry proceedings, Apesokubi and Rara managed to resolve their differences in this culminated in a formal settlement agreement. Bearing the preamble, a dispute between Rara and Apesokubi, both of the Buem State, that time we belonged to the Buem State, southern section Togoland, under British mandate, as to their boundary within the temporary section of the proposed Cabo River Forest Reserve. As evidenced by certified or authenticated copies of the settlement agreement dated 18 December 1939 and obtained from the Forestry Commission and public records and archives, popularly called National Archives, the said settlement agreement was signed at Rara, and that the principal signatories were Yaonyako, Ohene of Rara, together with two of his elders, namely Kwame Enyaboma, Safohene, Rara, and Kwame Jamra, Safohene, Rara. On the other hand, Kwesi Edu, Nana Kwesi Edu, Ohene of Apesokubi, together with his two elders, Kwaku Dente, Ikwankwa Ahene, then of Apesokubi, and Kwadwo Befi, elder Apesokubi, signed the said agreement. It was never signed between Rara and Akposo immigrants. The names of the signatories, S.Y. Mensa of Rara and S.Q. Ankoma of Apesokubi, also appear on the said settlement agreement as witnesses to mark interpreters. Ohoi High Court suit, that is number E1/4/2007. This was a court suit initiated jointly on 3rd March 2007 by 12 persons as direct descendants of Akposo immigrants from French Togoland who had settled in Apesokubi traditional area and were impersonating as traditional chiefs and personalities using self-styled chieftaincy titles which were alien and completely unknown in the notoriously long and well-established customary and traditional practices and history of chieftaincy in the whole of the Gold Coast and Ghana, including particularly the then Transvolta Togoland region and the Volta region. The names of the plaintiffs who filed the suit included Alevele Kwamna Pitipo Thre, Chief of Apesokubi, Oluke Adim Misre, Oluke Tata Degwe Dake, Oluke Yao Okuagbe, Oluke Akata Lucas, Oluke Raphael Akata, Nana Akata Louis, and Say Francis Obi, who were seeking 3 judicial reliefs as reproduced below. A declaration that as successors of the original guarantors of the land, they are the legitimate claimants to compensation in respect of the Cabo River Forest Reserve. That perpetual injunction restraining the first and third defendants from paying compensation to the third defendant, and an order directing the payment of compensation to plaintiff. Apparently, the plaintiffs and their advisors wrongly thought and strangely so that the Cabo River Forest Reserve were subject of compulsory state acquisition for which compensation was payable. They did not know that by law, all those long and past years, when Nanano, including particularly Nana Kwaku Ankara, Nana Kwaku Mensa, Nana Kwasi Edu, Nana Buafu, Nana Katabua, Nana S.O. Ankama, Opani L.K. Ubusu, Opani Kwaku Dente, Opani Kwajobayafi, and Opani F.K. Safo, and many others were openly and publicly executing formal transfer of lands, such as the ones in favor of the Bremer Mission, and so on. Where were they? Apesokubi as the only true and proper name of the area. It is absolutely untrue and incorrect for anybody to say that the name Apesokubi as a town, Apesokubi traditional area, is a distortion or corruption of Akposo or Akposo traditional area. The famous German map of Togo, Katibon Togo, the Ketekrachi, that is map of Ketekrachi, MP 106, dated December 1st, 1905 or 1905, as duly authenticated by Pratt, is singularly authoritative in establishing that areas consisting of what is today traditionally and officially known and called Apesokubi were as far back as in the 1890s already known and called at different places. We have Kosa, Apesokubi, 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 with various other communities, which in fee, for example, Apesokubi means Apeso on the mountain top. We have a community there, Apesokubi. That is one of our communities on the grassland. All these are Akan words. Evidently, it is the merger of the substantive names Apeso, Beposo, Sareso, and Kubi above mentioned that produced Apesokubi of today. The German map, Katibotobu, is otherwise popularly called the Dr. Luna map. They cannot make a mistake. The Bremer Mission land, as I mentioned earlier, is covered by formal documents dated in 1913, and which describe the location specifically and unambiguously as Apesokubi. Official records of the protracted court litigation between Apesokubi and Asato also confirms, from 1912 to 1982, confirms that the place has since been Apesokubi. Certified records of Cabo River and Askoko River Forest Reserves proceedings from 1929 to 54 also confirm the place as being called Apesokubi. In 1958, the Parliament of Ghana passed the Houses of Chiefs Act, which was comprehensive and consolidated chieftaincy act, establishing for the first time in Ghana regional houses of chiefs. By the combined provision and effect of the section 4.5 of the Act and the 5th schedule to the said Act, Apesokubi Guinea became a member of the Transvolta Togoland. Even the Transvolta Togoland, Apesokubi was a member. Now let's look at the chieftaincy members of the regional House of Chiefs. L, that is 1974. LI 991 of 1974. Provided under paragraph 7 that one of the following ahimfo, that time Apesokubi was in the rotatory with some of the ahimfo. One of the following ahimfo, Rara, Gori, Lolobi, Apesokubi, Akpafo, shall be rotational members of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. So Apesokubi has been a rotatory member of the Regional House of Chiefs for a very long time. The KJB District Assembly, also when it was constituted, Apesokubi was to be part. And that was as far back as 1978, LI 1183 of 1978, included Apesokubi in the KJB district. Let's look at it. Section 3 of the said LI define and describe the administrative area and authority of the Jasikan District Council as constituting 16 wards, and that Ward 5 comprises of Rawra South, Rawra Mission, Dogrum, Lubanta, Chirejanso, Rawra North, Jamra Krum, Adanka, Rawra East, Apesokubi North, Apesokubi South, Apesokubi East, Cabo Sreso, Apesokubi West, Okrabe, and Metemano and Preso, all constituted in the Jasikan district. Local government, KJB, as I said earlier, had Apesokubi in it. Now let's look at the Akunye district, the latest district, which was established by LI 1910 of 2007. It had Apesokubi as one of the communities or electoral areas within the Akunye district. Now let's look at the chieftaincy members of regional houses of chiefs. Instrument 2008, LI 1946 of 2008, Resolution 12.1C of LI 1946, that is 1946, of 2008, makes Apesokubi a regular and a permanent member of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. Let's look at Now, let's continue. On page 33 of the famous and authoritative history book of Professor D.E.K. Ame, entitled The Urban Unification Movement, A Political History, it is stated in the last paragraph that in 1929, an exchange of territory was agreed upon between France and Britain to avoid splitting the Akposo division in French and Adjuti division in British mandates. The report can be seen in government in UK. See report of HM government in the UK to the League of Nations on the administration of the Togoland under UK mandate for the year 1929. Now, we provide below a table containing detailed particulars, the names of some of the pioneer Akposo immigrant settlers in Apesokubi traditional area, their immediate ancestry, and several different towns, villages, and areas in Akposo traditional district in the French Togoland, currently Togo, as their place of origin, and their landlords who hosted them when they arrived in Apesokubi. But they arrived, as I said earlier, in tiny groups or individually. When they came, they willingly agreed that they should be shared among the indigenous accounts. So, well, our usual hospitality, we accepted them. Now we are going to give a few areas where you share them. So if you are shared, you call yourself an image. Now let's look at this. First, we have the pioneer immigrant, we have Agui. That man came from Klabe. The landlord was Nana Yawapa, the then Amankrabe. Now, this Agui gave birth to Animdie Yaw and Animdie Kofi. Now, Animdie Kofi also gave birth to Animdie Ben. And then Animdie Yaw gave birth to Animdie Christian. They are all there. Now look at the names. Agui came and gave birth to Animdie. Animdie is true. How come? Let's continue. A baby came from Togolese. The landlord was Ohene Ankara, Apesokubi Thre, the Ankara. Now, the son was Yao Kesi. A Picasso. Now, Obi Kwadu, Obi APD, Sanakanwe. Well, he came from Lobo and then settled with Openyi Viedu. Let's look at some of them. Ekwebi, Tomigwe, he settled with, I've said that area. Awane came from Klabe, he settled with Nana Ankara. The child was Awane Abena. Gapenyo from Klabe, he settled with Nana Ankara, the then chief. The child is Egbetomi. Migwename is from Now, one of the pioneer immigrants is called Zaki. He came from Klabe. He settled with Ochiame Atakwaju or Opani Atakwaju. Now, the children's names, we have Zakli Kwame, we have Obin Pekwamana, we have Obin Pekuma, well, we have Agbati Zakli, Obin Pe Martin, yes, Agbati Zakli. Now, they are descendants are the Obinpes. Now, Obinpe, exactly came, and at the end of the day, the children and the grandchildren are called Obinpe. Then came Alokwe. Alokwe came from Klabe. He settled with Ochiame Atakwaju. Now, the son is Anto. In Fikasa. Ejonu Alokwe, whom we commonly call Bigger Kwaku. Then Alokwe, and then Bigger Kwaku also came Alokwe, 4 sons. Then the brothers and sisters. Now, let's look at one other man. Ugli. He came from Klabe. Now, the children, we have Sachi. We have Kofi Danso. And we have Fua Sachi. So, Ugli children are good. Now, let's look at an example here. Let's look at an example here. This is just an example. I don't want to elaborate on many of them. Indeed, lawyer Akposo Thre was born and baptized in AP Church of Apesokubi as Martin Kwaku Obinpe. Attended middle school as Martin Kwaku Obinpe. He continued, and this is DCO level at Mukunya Secondary School. And then Martin Kwaku Obinpe. It is not certain when he changed his Akan name Obinpe and adopted his ancestral name. All his siblings, many of whom are above 60 years, still bear the name Akan name Obinpe. These are Samuel Obinpe, Dennis Obinpe, and Francis Obinpe. We challenged lawyer Akposo Thre to produce the original copies of his baptismal and middle school living certificates to either refute or confirm these facts, whether he bore Obinpe throughout or it was Akposo. security implications of the Akposo project. There is an ongoing treacherous project by the descendants of the Akposo immigrants in Apesokubi traditional area to extend the erstwhile Akposo traditional state in French Togoland Republic to the British Togoland or the Republic of Ghana. The advocates and sponsors of the said Akposo project claim that the area constituting Jasikan KJB Diakoye district in the Oti region of Ghana originally formed part of the said Akposo traditional state. Thus, the purpose of the Akposo project is to claim and restore the so-called erstwhile Akposo territory to Akposos as their homeland, using Apesokubi for the regrouping of the Akposo immigrants from French Togoland. We have absolutely no doubt in our minds that the said Akposo project has dire consequences and implications for the true indigenous people of Gwem State, Jasikan District, Diakoye District, and so we hereby invite all concerned to take note and act appropriately. Request to the government of Ghana. At the current inauguration of the Apesokubi Traditional Council by the Honorable Minister of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs on the 16th day of April 2024, all the ethnic groups resident in Apesokubi Traditional area were duly represented, but for the Akposos, and they did not turn up. We are using your media to call on the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs and the Minister for Local Government to call to order any person or group of persons fomenting trouble to prevent others from restoring self-help. We send this caution to the sponsors and active participants in the stabilizing activities of the Akposos to purge themselves of their delusional beliefs and give peace a chance to thrive and reign supreme in Apesokubi traditional areas. Public records. Lastly, we want the records to reflect, as it has been in the past, that the town is called Apesokubi and the area is Apesokubi traditional area. Conclusion. It is unfortunate, frustrating, and most regrettable that the hospitable nature of the Akan indigenous citizens in the Apesokubi traditional area is being taken for granted and repaid with shameless ingratitude by the Akposos. Clearly, the entire Akposo project is founded on delusional beliefs characterized by false narratives and plain propaganda, which are contrary to the reality borne out in incontrovertible documentary evidence. We have provided incontrovertible oral and documentary evidence verifying the names of towns under the Apesokubi traditional area and cession to the Apesokubi stool and succession to the Apesokubi stool from pre-colonial era, that is before 1896, through colonial era between 1896 and 1957 to post-independence era, that is 1957 date. We challenge the Akposos to provide their alternative records to refute the facts that we have provided, to substantiate their numerous allegations, which are based on fabricated oral evidence, which are all lies. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media and press, Apesokubi Maima, I thank you very much for the audience. May the Lord God and may the good Lord and our cherished ancestors bless our homeland, Apesokubi traditional area, the Diakoye district, Oti region, and Ghana, our mother.
Following the initial briefing from the other group and that of yours this morning, I'm beginning to get myself confused. One, I just want to know from you and your elders here, is Apeso could be a different term for Akposo? That's one. Two, if you indeed say Apesokubi is an Akan town or community, I just want to know what kind of Akan or what's the name of the kind of language you speak at Apesokubi. And will you agree with me that there are some towns within your jurisdiction, including some rivers that are named, that when you listen to the names given to those places, sound to be Akposo language or Akposo, as they call it, language. Will you agree with me with these 3 points? I might come back again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have a second one with them. Okay.
My name is Ibrahim Al-Hassan, G1 TV. I was here to cover the first press conference by the people of Apesokubi.
No, there's nothing like Akposo.
Oh, I'm relating to something that happened in this same building. That as a journalist, I was here to cover a press conference by the people who call themselves Akposo.
Thank you. They don't add Kubi to it.
No. All right. So, just 2 quick points. I want to find out whether Apesokubi and Apesokubi have ever been used interchangeably, be it on documents and what have you. Has it ever happened? That's one. 2, just a bit of clarity to the first question. If you say you are Akan, what language do you speak? Because I know of the Akposo language, which I have a map that captures it as part of Kenyan languages. So if their place of residence is not the community you inhabit, then where are they supposed to go? Once it's captured as a Kenyan language, where can you point us to where they should be? Then when you are reporting, and mind you, these questions are to guide us. We are telling a story, we are informing the public. Yes. A narrative was given some weeks ago, painted one picture. You are giving us another narrative, painting a different picture. Like my colleague said, if you have a confused reporter, you might as well not even have a press conference, because the public will be confused. The authorities that you are trying to cut their attention will be confused as well, right? And will there ever be a time that the two of you can live together? Is that a possibility?
Okay.
Answer the question.
Let's look at the first one. Five, please. As I said, the first one. Apesokubi has been an age-old settlement. We have Apesokubi, and we have never ever had any town called Apesokubi. There has never ever existed any town or traditional area called Apesokubi. That is how we challenge them to produce any document indicating that there has ever existed a town called Apesokubi. There has never been any town. Now, the language spoken in Apesokubi is Akan. We speak Twi. In fact, our great grandfathers migrated from Bono, and they settled there as far back as 1665. That the records are allowed to us. And we have other Bono people who have settled there: Ahamansu, Dapa, Ampeyo, Pamparia. They are all from Bono. We all migrated and came together. And over time, traveling here and there, the language has been corrupted. And now we speak quite a little different. But when you come to Apesokubi and you are speaking Twi, you see the accent of Bono in it. So that's where we migrated from. We speak Twi, they are Akans. Now, the rivers. It is not true. If, for example, they will be able to give me one river which bears such a name, maybe I can explain and tell you the true name of that river and the stream. All the lands, if you come to Apesokubi, you have Asewam, you have Warachim, we have Ojedem, Abrewanko, Ohenewa. These are the lands we farm on. Then, when it comes to the rivers, we have Menai, we have Onamuram, Yawa Batampa, Yawa Krutiasu, Yawa Sokwame, and name some of them, and Anako Kwasi, Bokitiasu, and all those things. These are the agreements and things we have in Apesokubi. So if somebody comes here and maybe the name sounds similar to his language and he decides to corrupt it, just as we have Apesokubi, and they are trying to corrupt it to say Apesokubi. It's the same thing they are trying to do to our rivers. So there is no river that bears the name in Akposo. No. Then the name being used interchangeably. Well, to the best of my knowledge, I don't have any knowledge of that. All I know is Apesokubi, and it has forever been Apesokubi. As when my great-grandfather, Ohil Kufia Sampo, was a chief, he had an agreement with the Germans. That was as far back as 1918. He was the chief from 1870 to 1912. He had an agreement with the Germans, agreement, when they were prospecting, as far back as 1819. He made that agreement with them, and we have Apesokubi here. Then after came Ohil Kufia, he gave out the land in 1912, 1913 to the Bremen mission. It is Apesokubi here. Then they came, Nana Kwesiedu, he litigated, started the litigation in Fasato. Apesokubi here. And so I have not seen any, I think that was in 1971. We went there, we sat, and they agreed that they are not there to contest the Apesokubi. They admitted that they are immigrants, and for that matter, aliens. So they were advised that we should give them some of the maybe posts, like any sub-chief or anything. It was agreed over there. I think the Peruvian and they sat on the issue. And then after that, we came home, we invited them, please come, let's sit down, brothers. So that maybe we give you one of the divisional stools and so on. In fact, everybody resident in Apesokubi land, the Cabrel, Ghana Eve, the Keve, Agbatope, Samre, Kutukuri, and all that, they have either their headmen or their chiefs, who are sub-chiefs to our divisional chiefs, and we are running the town. They are all cooperative in everything we do. But they say no. We came home after the agreement at the regional house. We came home and they said that we So we are there. For us, 24/7. We have nowhere to go. It is our homeland. And anybody who wants to live in peace with us, for the total development of Apesokubi, we are ready for the president.
Yes, gentlemen, just to add a little to what Omai said, everything that Nana Maine has said everything that Nana Maine has said over here this morning is backed by authenticated public record. I think this is what we are demanding, that you, the journalists, should also be asking from them. Because if I come and I tell you that even though I'm an Akan, my great-grandfather founded Jamestown, ask me, what is the source of that statement you made? Nana referred to the German map of 1905. We have the copy here. And the various areas are clearly demarcated. Luckily, it captures Apesokubi area on the same map now in Ghana and captures Akposo area now in Togo on one single map, the 1905 German map. The reason being that both areas were under German control at that time. It was after the Germans were defeated that it was partitioned. But as Nana has said, between where Akposo is and where Apesokubi area is It's over 80 kilometers apart. We share no boundary whatsoever. There are intervening towns and villages, in fact districts, between Apesokubi and Akposo as we have it. So if anybody says that it is the partitioning that has divided the Akposo group, one on Togo, the other, is a falsified statement. Nana also mentioned the German acquisition of lands dating back to 1913. This is the certified record from the EP Church headquarters. We are ready to give the journalists copies of everything we have said here, so that you can on your own also go and verify the truth of it. Now, if you look at when the forest reserve was constituted, these are the records from National Archives. You will see the Oprana section, as we are saying. This is the temperate section. This is the Oprana section, volume 1 and 2. All the records mentioned Apesokubi. There was never any record on Akposo, let alone Apesokubi. Now,